wizards of Vushta try to cure their colleague Ebenezim's allergy to magic, they end up catching his malady themselves. The demons of the Netherhells see this as the perfect chance to unleash their dreadful new tactic, conquest by committee. There's a time and a place for all sorts of books. For those books that make you sob and feel bad about yourself and rethink your life, and for those light-hearted books that just make you feel better about yourself and the world. Well, it's those light-hearted, fluffy books that I'm going to talk about today, and I have 10 to recommend to you. So, in no particular order, number 1, Agent to the Stars by John Scalzi. So aliens have come to Earth and they're ready to make first contact. The only problem is they've seen enough movies and TV shows from Earth to know that the fact that they are absolutely hideous and smell bad is not going to go over so well. So they decide to hire themselves a Hollywood agent to smooth things over. And it's absolutely hilarious. Number 2. Magic Kingdom for Sale, sold. In what is admittedly the one downer of the book, we learn that our protagonist's wife has died, and now our protagonist has nothing to do with his time. So he starts looking through advertisements and finds a Magic Kingdom for sale for $1 million. So he buys it, and now he's king. I'm sure nothing could go wrong. Right? It's good. Number 3. If you want a sweet and clean romance, which has a whole long series behind it, or following it rather, try Enchanted Ink. Katie, our protagonist, is an absolutely normal woman. In fact, she is so normal that magic can't affect her. She can't even see magic. So when she moves to New York City, where all the weird stuff is covered up by illusions, she can't see the illusions. She can just see the weird stuff. And this gets her an awesome job and a love interest or 3. Number 4. Bunnicula. Harold the dog is our protagonist, and when his people bring home a new pet, a bunny, the cat of the family is extremely suspicious about this bunny. Why does the bunny seem to have a deep willow's peak and glowing red eyes? And why are all the vegetables sucked completely dry? I'll let you figure it out. And it's a good read aloud and good for the whole family, but just remember to tell your kids that you shouldn't feed dogs chocolate if you do read this book to them. Number 5. Vivian van de Velde is almost certainly in my top 10 favorite authors, and this is my absolute favorite book of hers. It's just so very sweet, although it's definitely too short. If you happen to be watching this, please write another one. Wished at Work is a series of interconnected short stories about a Dumbledore-type wizard who during the school year goes and is headmaster and teaches all these kids. But during the summer, he just wants to go home, take off his long white beard, and get some gardening done. Why won't anyone let him get some gardening done? They keep coming to him with all these ridiculous problems to solve. And I love it so much. I think I'll have to reread it for the 20th time after I'm done filming this. The next book, which is also a great read aloud and an episodic short story interconnected type book, is Sideways Stories from Wayside School. And this one actually does have a sequel to it. So Wayside School was meant to be 30 classrooms long and 1 story high, but someone made a mistake and now it is just 1 classroom across and 30 stories high. And each of the classrooms in a different story has, well, a different story to it. But we're mostly focused on the 30th story, which just has absolutely the worst luck with teachers. But hey, at least the guy who does the yard work is nice. Number 7 is the book, or rather the series, that I read from at the beginning. The Wanderings of Woodfloor is actually the omnibus of the first of 2 trilogies. And the first book in it is called The Difficulty with Dwarves? A Difficulty with Dwarves? I knew this before I started. A Difficulty with Dwarves, followed by An Excess of Enchantment and A Disagreement with Death. So our protagonist is Woodfloor, who is Ebeneezer's apprentice, and he is utterly hapless. This book it's a farce. It's one of those fun ones where as he goes along, he just keeps gathering a bigger and bigger entourage of absurd creatures who just are fascinated by him and keep following him around, and he has to deal with them all. And it's wonderful, and the sequel trilogy is wonderful, and if you want a laugh and a smile and plenty to read, I recommend starting here. Number 8 is Sorcery and Cecilia, or The Enchanted Chocolate Pot, or as I like to think of it, another rendition of Pride and Prejudice that is far fluffier and more lighthearted than the frankly hilarious original and has a fancy element, and is written in epistolary form. But other than that, it's basically Pride and Prejudice. A great deal of fun, a lighthearted read, but also good enough to actually want to read a second, third, and in my case, 4th time. Number 9. Of course, no list like this of light-hearted, absurd, silly, fun books would be complete without the ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide. Or you could just read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but hey, while you're reading fun books, why stop with just the first one, especially if you're like me and have it all in one. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, our protagonist's name is Arthur Dent. Arthur Dent is a completely normal guy who happens to have a friend whom he doesn't know is actually from Beetlejuice. And this alien friend of his, finds out that the Earth is about to be destroyed. And so he grabs Arthur Dent and they hitchhike out on a spaceship. This poor, completely ordinary guy thrown in to the galaxy at large while the Earth is in fact blown up to make room for an interstellar highway bypass. Sorry, I got distracted. Oh man, this is definitely my reading list for the next 2 weeks. So, this last one is the one that actually started this all off because I was feeling not entirely happy inside, and I just needed something that I knew would make me feel so much better. It took about half a page. This is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Catherine Morland is our 17-year-old heroine, and she is a very romantic sort. She likes to read these gothic romances and, oh no, all these melodramatic things to happen. So when she goes away from home for the first time and has the beginnings of her own romance and has the opportunity to go to an ancient abbey of her own, her imagination gets her carried away a little bit. But it is lighthearted, it is fun, it is sweet, and nothing goes too bad for too long, as the authoress herself promises. I've read it 10 times, I'll read it 10 more, at the very least. Have a wonderful rest of your day, be of good cheer, and I'll see you next time.